We are on the record in case number GW 2023 CR 300023, State of Kansas versus Wesley Wade Wilson. The state appears by and through Greenwood County Attorney Jill Gillette. Mr. Wilson appears in person, in custody, and pro se. Before I proceed further, there are a number of you that are, I'm sure, unintentionally making noises, and you're making noises come across the screen. So you may need to mute or at least be very still so we don't have interference. Mr. Wilson, in count one, you, sir, are charged with unlawful distribution of a controlled substance. That count reads that on or about the 16th day of November, 2023 in Greenwood County, Kansas, you did then and there, contrary to the statutes of the state of Kansas, unlawfully and intentionally distribute a controlled substance, to wit, methamphetamine, in an amount greater than 3.5 grams, but less than 100 grams, approximately 47 grams. This charge is a level 2 drug felony, which means that depending on your criminal history, if any, if you were to be convicted, you could get a minimum sentence of 92 months in prison. You could get a maximum sentence of 144 months in prison, or some amount in between 92 and 144 months. And your fine could be up to $500,000. In count two, now, Ms. Gillette, there's two count ones. I think that next one should be two. Is that correct?
It may just be a type. Yes.
Yes, it is. Okay. I want to make sure it wasn't a duplicate, but it doesn't appear to be. So then in count two, you are alleged on that same day, November 16th, 2023 in Greenwood County, Kansas, unlawfully and intentionally distributing a controlled substance, to wit, hydrocodone and or fentanyl pills in an amount greater than 100 dosage units, but less than 1,000 dosage units, approximately 160 pills. As charged, this is a level 2 drug felony, which means, again, depending on your criminal history, if you were to be convicted, you could serve yet another 92 months up to 144 months in prison and pay yet another fine of $500,000. In count three, you're accused of unlawful distribution, that is possessing with the intent to distribute the controlled substance marijuana and or its active ingredient THC in an amount greater than 25 grams, but less than 450 grams, approximately 78 grams. If convicted, this could add to your sentence another 46 months up to another 83 months and another fine of up to $300,000. In count four, sir, you are charged with unlawfully and knowingly possessing with the intent to use drug paraphernalia. That would be small baggies, digital scale, and cell phones for the purpose of manufacturing, cultivating, planting, propagating, harvesting, testing, analyzing, and or distributing a controlled substance. This charge is a level 5 drug felony. It carries a prison sentence of 10 to 42 months and a fine of up to $100,000. In count 5, you are charged with criminal possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. That charge reads that you did intentionally and knowingly possess a Ruger 380 firearm while having been convicted within the preceding 10 years for a felony, to wit, conviction number is that Norton County or Neosho County? Case number 16 CR 46. This charge carries 7 to 32 months imprisonment and $100,000 in fines. In count 6, you're charged with interference with the law enforcement officer. This charge alleges that you did intentionally and knowingly conceal, destroy, or materially alter evidence with the intent to prevent or hinder apprehension or prosecution of any person, to wit, concealing a gun. This, as charged, would add another 7 to 32 months imprisonment and another fine of $100,000. In count 7, you are accused of intentionally and knowingly possessing in excess of 3 grams of methamphetamine, approximately 47 grams, without the proper drug dealer tax stamp affixed. This is a sentence of 5 to 13 months and another $100,000 fine maximum. Count 8 is also a drug dealer tax stamp violation. It alleges that you intentionally and knowingly possessed in excess of 28 grams of marijuana, approximately 75 grams, without the proper drug tax stamp affixed. Again, this could add another 5 to 13 years to your prison sentence and another fine up to $100,000. Count number 9 is battery against a law enforcement officer. It alleges that you unlawfully and knowingly caused physical contact with another person done in a rude, insulting, or angry manner to a uniformed or properly identified state, county, or city law enforcement officer, to wit, Deputy Andrews. This is a Class A person misdemeanor, which means after you concluded any prison time, you could come back to the county jail and your sentence could be up to 12 months in the county jail where you are now, and your fine could be up to $2,500. Count 10 is alleging criminal carrying of a weapon. It alleges you unlawfully and knowingly carried a weapon, to wit, brass knuckles. This is another Class A person misdemeanor, which means it could add yet another 12 months county jail to your sentence and another fine of $2,500. In count 11, you're charged with unlawful possession of drug paraphernalia. This charge alleging that you unlawfully and intentionally used or possessed with the intent to use any drug paraphernalia, to wit, smoking pipes, metal spoon, pill bottles, vape cartridges, and empty cylindric containers with the intent to store, contain, conceal, inject, ingest, inhale, or otherwise introduce a controlled substance into the human body. This charge carries a 6-month maximum jail sentence and a $1,000 fine. Mr. Wilson, do you have any questions about what you're alleged to have done and the possible penalties?
No, ma'am.
Very well. You certainly are entitled to hire any attorney of your choice. If you cannot afford to hire an attorney, you can apply to see if you qualify for a court-appointed attorney. You could technically represent yourself, but that would not make very much sense in light of the charges you have. So do you want to, can you afford to hire an attorney, or do you want to apply for court-appointed?
I'd like to apply for court-appointed.
I'll ask you some questions then to see if you qualify. Are you employed at this time?
No, ma'am.
When were you last employed?
Approximately 3 months ago.
What kind of work did you do then?
I worked for A1 Appliance.
What kind of, how much money did you make per month?
I made approximately 500 a week.
About 2,000 a month approximately?
Possibly, yeah.
And are you married or single?
At the moment, I'm single.
Now, what does that mean at the moment? Are you engaged or recently divorced?
I mean, you know, I'm with someone, you know what I mean, but we're not married, you know what I mean?
I
That
do.
could
So
change in
you're,
the future.
are you
Yeah.
cohabitating with someone then?
I was, yeah.
Was, but aren't now because you're in jail or
Yeah.
because of something else? Oh, okay. So if you were to get out today, you'd go back to this person and you'd live together and share expenses?
Most of the expenses are on me. I live out of my family, out of my family's farm right now. I'm working for them for like room and board, you know, so I really don't get I really don't get paid nothing. You know what I mean? I just trying to work out here, and that pays for my, my food and
Okay. You said you make about 2,000 a month at A1 Appliance.
I haven't made that for a while though. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
you said you haven't been there in 3 months. Okay. Do you have any income at all?
No.
All right, I will appoint an attorney to represent you. I can't tell you exactly who that will be at this moment, but Missy, my assistant, can tell you. Missy, when will you probably be able to provide that?
Probably the first of next week.
Okay, so probably the first next week, we'll know who your attorney is and get that to you, and then I'll expect you to contact that attorney.
All right. Would it be possible for a bond reduction or?
Well, we will talk about that shortly.
Okay.
First, let's get you what's called a preliminary hearing control. Missy, when will that be?
January 5th at 1:30.
All right, January 5th at 1:30. I'd be really surprised if we got the laboratory testing back from the KBI, but miracles have been known to happen. What we will do on February 5th, sir, is make sure you have your attorney, let you and your attorney make sure you've met and talked about which direction you may want to go, but your attorney will most likely want to see the KBI lab reports back confirming what you did or did not have. So the next order of business, having addressed your attorney and your next hearing date, is the bond. And I believe at this time, your bond is set at $45,000. Is that what you understand, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All I know about you so far is what you're charged with and that you're a 32-year-old from Chanute. Is that true? You're 32 and from Chanute?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, I guess I also know you haven't worked in about 3 months.
Yeah.
And you're in a relationship with someone and you live on your family farm
Yes, ma'am. It's Chanute.
in Chanute.
Yeah. I'm not, I don't want to run. I'm not a flight risk. I just,
Well, let's see if Miss Gillette has any information about your criminal history, if any.
Judge, he does have criminal history. He does not have a ton of failure to appear. He does have some violations of probation. He also has been to KDOC. So he was last released from KDOC in December of 2022. And so he does have convictions out of Neosho, Crawford, Anderson counties as far as felonies are concerned that he has gone to KDOC for. He also has misdemeanor convictions in Wilson County. So he has
I'm sorry, I must have misunderstood you. He didn't go to KDOC on misdemeanors.
No, he also has misdemeanors out of Wilson County. So he doesn't have a lot of failures to appear. He just has a lot of history for a young guy.
I made some bad decisions, in my past.
Mm-hmm. I also to inquire if Mr. Wilson is going to request a conflict for me because I have represented him in the past as his defense attorney. Back in 2019, I was court appointed in Wilson County.
What kind of case was that?
I don't have no,
hang on, sir. What kind of cases did you represent him on, Ms. Gillette?
I had to look it up, Judge, because I couldn't remember. And it was an interference case from back. It was a misdemeanor interference from way back. And I had to even look to see what it was to make sure. So I had to pull some old files to make sure what it was. And I can't get on eFlex. So all I know is what I have in my system, my electronic system. It was a one-time court appointment for interference.
All right, interference with law enforcement officer, it sounds like, and that's one of the kind of charges that you have here, sort of. It's similar. It's accusing you of, well, it is interference with law enforcement officer, intentionally, knowingly concealing, destroying, or materially altering evidence to prevent or hinder apprehension. And you're also charged, yes, battery of a law enforcement officer. So now, as your attorney, you may have given some confidential communication to Ms. Gillette. She may know some things about you that she wouldn't otherwise know because she defended you with a similar or same type of charge. And so she said she had to look it up to even remember what it was, but she apparently recognized your name. Do you want her to get another prosecutor, someone outside of her office to pursue these charges? Or do you want to
As
talk
of,
that over
as
with
of,
your attorney first before you decide?
as of right now, I'd like to talk it over with my attorney first.
Okay, well, I think that
That's
makes
okay.
sense, because I don't want to put Miss Gillette in a bad spot, and I don't want you to feel like you're in
I
a
mean,
bad spot.
I have no issues with her, you know what I mean? I just don't, you know what I mean? I'm not, you know,
Right, right,
I
yeah.
don't know enough about it to make a decision, you know what I mean?
I
Well,
couldn't
I do.
remember Mr. Gillette that had him one time.
You
Couldn't
know what I
even
mean?
remember.
Like you know,
Right, right. But, not prejudging, having no idea whether you're guilty or not. I know that sometimes if people do end up with convictions, they're pretty desperate to come up with excuses. And I don't want to have you say today you don't have a problem, and then if things don't go your way, then come back at Ms. Gillette and try to get your convictions overturned. Again, not saying you will be convicted. I have no idea, and I'm not making a judgment, but I think your decision to talk it over with your attorney is a sound one, and I respect that. I'm sure Ms. Gillette does too. So that's one of the first things you'll want to bring up with the attorney and see if the attorney is comfortable with it. Since you seem to be comfortable with her prosecuting you after having represented you. Now, back to the bond issue. 45,000, that's a lot of money. Do you have the money to post a bond with the bondsman?
I don't have 45,000, no.
You don't, do you have 4,500? That's what bondsmen usually want, is
No,
10%?
I don't have near that. You know what I mean? I haven't worked, like I said, I have, you know what I mean? I have a place to go, you know, my family farm and everything, but you know, I can't come up with that much. You know, maybe like it's just, I can't ask my family to come up with that much money either. You know what I mean? It's just not fair to them, you know, and
Right. Let me ask you about your last Department of Corrections sentence. Are you on any kind of parole or conditional release from your prison sentence?
no, ma'am.
What were you in prison for this time around?
Last time was, failure to register. I missed you know what I mean? Like, I missed the registration date because it was every 3 months. And, you know, so when I did go up there to register, like, you know what I mean? They said, oh, you know what I mean? Like, you done missed it. So it was one of them things where I was a month off, you know what I mean? And they don't, you know what I mean? They
What
don't,
were the crimes that made you have to register?
back when I was younger, I caught like a level 4, possession with intent to distribute.
Okay. Well, I think the bond is appropriate in light of the number of charges and the seriousness of the charges. Knowing that you have that much time hanging over your head, it certainly could motivate you to take off, even though you don't have a history of running.
I mean, I'm not gonna want to run, you know what I mean? I just if I could get like maybe a 20,000 or something to see my family, and at least, you know, if I do have to do some time, like I would like to, you know what I mean, at least get my affairs in order and, you know what I mean, say goodbye and everything. And, you know, before I have to go handle what I got to get my life right, you know what I mean?
I do. And Ms. Gillette, what's your position on a $20,000 cash or surety bond, particularly in light of the fact that we can't have his hearing until January, and if he doesn't make bond, he's going to be sitting in jail without opportunity to be released. If he can't.
I would like a cash surety bond to stay on him. That way there's a bondsman that will help track him down. He doesn't.
What is your position on his suggestion for 20,000?
I'm okay with 20,000. If he's living on his family farm, I'll know where he's going to be. I mean, his family lives over there south of Chanute. So I think that if he got a bondsman that also is tracking him, we'll know where to get him. And he's gone and done his time voluntarily before. So.
Well, the other thing is I want to be protective of the community too. I want to make sure you come back, but I want to make sure you're not out there. If these charges have any validity to them, I don't want you out there dealing drugs or anything like that.
I don't plan on it. You know what I mean? Like,
And be careful what you say. Be careful what you say about the facts. I don't want anything
Okay.
about that. But,
okay, sorry,
but
sorry.
no. I'm just saying. I just know what your attorney would say, and you don't want to say anything that would incriminate you. But at the same time, like I said, I don't want you out there dealing drugs. I don't want you out there using drugs, possessing drugs. Is there anyone on that family farm that is a known drug dealer or convicted drug dealer?
No, ma'am.
Just you with the convicted charges? Okay.
Yeah.
Judge, if you want to have him report to court services for UAs or phone calls as directed, that way we can have more assurance of where he's at.
I would love to do that, but I know that court services have indicated to me they are really swamped with other obligations.
I can definitely make phone calls or do whatever. Then, I mean, if they can't have me come in, you know what I mean? I will definitely keep in touch with whoever you need me to.
All right, Mr. Wilson, at your request, I'm going to reduce your bond to $20,000, cash or professional surety required. You're going to have a bondsman. So if you do take off, they're going to be out 20,000 if they don't go track you down. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
But your bond conditions are going to be, a number of them are going to be preset on your bond form. Be sure and read them. You're
Okay.
not to have any contact with any co-defendants. Is there a co-defendant, Ms. Gillette, in this case?
Mr. Ingalls,
What's your relationship to Timothy Ingalls?
He's my stepbrother.
Does he live on the family farm?
No, he doesn't.
Why were you two together when this happened?
He was giving me a ride.
Okay. Is he going to want to come back for Thanksgiving and Christmas?
I mean, I don't know.
Well, do you guys usually get together with your family on the holidays?
I mean, yeah, through my other side of the family. See, the family farm is on my mom's side. I'm related to him on my father's side.
Okay, so he doesn't usually show up for the same events
Uh-uh.
at where you live, I mean.
Yeah, no, he don't show up out there. He's on the other side of the family.
All right. Well, I don't know how it is that you two allegedly came in possession of all of these drugs if you did, but it sounds to me like you better stay away from each other while this case is pending. So you're going to have no contact with him, no drugs or alcohol of any kind. If you're going to be home for Thanksgiving, you're going to have to tell the family that they can't be having alcohol with their dinner. They may have to choose between alcohol and you.
It's all right. They're not much on alcoholic beverages anyway, so
Good. They can't be doing any drugs while you're out there.
they damn sure don't put up with that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Oh,
Well, that
sorry.
sounds like a good deal then, maybe a good place for you, but. So do we need any travel restrictions, Ms. Gillette?
I can't think of any, Judge.
All right. So when are you coming back to court? Do you remember?
It was January 5th, right?
Okay, Missy, did you get that right?
Yes, that's correct. January 5th at 1:30.
And you're going to call your attorney. Or you're going to call Missy and she'll tell you who the attorney is.
All right.
And you're going to call her the first of next week, and Missy, will the jail give him the number, or do you want to give it to him?
The jail should have it.
I don't really have a way to write it down right now.
Okay, is there a deputy with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Deputy, can you give him Missy's number so he can call the first of the week?
Yes, I can.
I appreciate that. His court date, January 5th at 1:30. Now, I don't want you to just get the name and number. I want you to call that attorney.
Yes, ma'am.
Make sure you guys talk before that court date.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, anything you need to ask me before I let you go, sir?
No, ma'am.
Okay. What's that tattoo on your eye for?
I do what?
Is that
I
a
lost.
is
I
that a
lost
teardrop?
I lost someone close to me.
Okay, so that's a teardrop for a death in your life?
Yeah.
All right. I'll let you go at this time then. Thank you.
All right.
Back
Thank
to
you.
jail. And Debbie, are you bringing up Mr. Ingalls then?
Yes, he's on the bench. I just gotta grab him.
Okay, thank you.
Judge, I have Mr. Ferguson's ticket.
And how is it the two of you ended up together on November 16th of 2023?
We were just getting a ride together.
Okay. He was getting a ride from you, or you were getting a ride from him, or you were both getting a ride from someone else?
He was getting right for me,
Okay.
but yeah,
But he what?
he was getting right for me.
Okay. All right. And who do you live with down there in Chanute?
My grandmother,
Anyone else?
no, ma'am.
Is
My
that
my niece.
your mom's mother or your dad's mother?
It's my stepdad's mother, but it's my stepdad's mother, not not his mom's mother. Different. I don't know how to explain it. It's
Okay, so it's a different side of the family than
yes,
what
ma'am.
what
Yes,
the other young man lives at with.
he lives at his mother's parents. Yes,
Okay, so he lives with grandparents too, but it's on his mother's side. You're living with your grandmother on which side?
on his dad's side.
Okay. Where did you live when you were before you were with them?
I live with my baby mama's husband's parents. I know it's confusing, ma'am. I'm sorry.
I just want to make sure I heard you right.
Yeah,
You lived with your baby's
mama's husband's
husband's parents.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so your baby mama was married to someone else,
Yes, ma'am.
and his parents let you live with them. Was that in
Yes.
Chanute also?
No, ma'am.
Where was that?
That was in Arkansas.
All right. And why did you leave there?
Because like I said, it was it was the living situation was awkward, to say the least. If you could get that.
Okay, and that was about 6 months ago you left Arkansas?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you from Arkansas or are you
No,
from?
I'm from Chanute.
Okay, did you go
Born
to
and
high
raised.
school?
I went to high school in Chanute. Yes, I've lived in Chanute all my life except for that brief period it was in Arkansas.
And how long were you in Arkansas?
5 months. I don't know, like 4 months, 5 months.
And your baby's still down there?
Yes, ma'am. She's 12. She's grew up there all her life.
Oh, okay, she's 12. She's not a new baby.
No, ma'am.
All right, Miss Jolette, we have bond set, I believe, at 30,000 right now. Has he been in prison? Has he had some convictions? Failures to-
He has been in prison and he does have a couple of failures to appear, Judge, which is a little different from the last one we had. He is also probation violations.
I haven't had a failure to appear in a long time, though, ma'am.
Hang on, sir. I want to hear from Miss Gillette. And then we'll
Sorry.
come back to you. Thank you.
He has had failures to appear. The last one I see, let me get through the last couple of pages here, Judge. Make sure that's the last one.
What kind of charges does he have?
Convictions.
Convictions?
Kind of all over the place. Burglary, theft, being on the National Guard property. I'm guessing that was the armory there in Chanute. Interference. His last failure to appear, I think, is 2014. And he has also been in prison. I have that he has been up there on at least 2 different cases. That's his last one I have. He also has case 23 CR 344 out in Neosho County, still pending from October.
He had a charge as recently as November in Neosho
October.
or October?
Mhm.
That's
Yes.
just last month. What's he charged with there?
Possession of meth and use of a communication facility. And possession of paraphernalia.
So you've been back to the area for 6 months and you've got charges of the type I just went over in Greenwood County, and you have the charges she just went over in Neosho County? And when you were in prison or the Department of Corrections, were those both in Kansas? Or
Yes,
were they in
ma'am.
Arkansas?
Yes,
sorry?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, Mr. Ingalls, let's see. Well, I presume you're on bond in Neosho County and we're on bond when you got these charges. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Gillette, does he have, well, let me ask, is your jailer there?
Yes, ma'am.
Deputy, does he have a hold from Neosho County?
I am unsure, but I can go look real fast.
Yeah,
Ma'am.
yeah, you might, if you can.
Right back.
Because it may not matter what kind of bond I put on you. It may be depend on what they're gonna do, whether you get out or not.
I don't have a hold, ma'am.
You can't go back to your grandma's?
I can go to my other grandparents, yes,
Where do they live?
in Chanute, Kansas, ma'am.
Okay, hey, somebody, okay, Mr. Espino, thank you. All right. Ms. Gillette, you're more familiar with that part of the country than I am, or that part of the state. Do you know any of these people he talks about? He hasn't mentioned names, but
It'd
he
be
said you worked with that one young man. Have you worked with this one?
I have not worked with this one, Judge.
Do you
I-
even know him? No other?
I knew Mr. Wilson's grandparents. That's how we, and I knew his grandparents. Oh,
Okay.
a long
My-
time ago. His grandfather died just a couple years ago, which was kind of devastating for everyone because he was a really good guy.
So it's a pretty solid family in spite of what we're seeing about these two young men?
yes, ma'am.
Well, I think Mr. Ingalls might be on Mr. Wilson's mom's side. Is that right, Mr. Ingalls?
No, my mom married his dad, ma'am.
Yeah.
But I grew up with his grandparents being my grandparents since I was like 10 years old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, Deputy, did you find out if he has a hold?
He does not have a hold, but I did find out that Wilson has a hold in Neosho County.
So you said you don't have anywhere to go, Mr. Ingalls. Are you thinking
I do
you're
have a
better
place.
off- Or Mr. Ingalls, are you thinking you're at least getting a roof over your head and food?
I have a place to stay in Chanute, Kansas, ma'am.
Okay, now which is it? Because you just told me a few moments ago that you had no place to go.
I said I
Toward
couldn't.
the road.
I said I couldn't go to my other grandparents, but I can go. I do have a place to stay, ma'am.
Okay, but before that, you said, quote, I have no place to go.
I don't think I ever said I have no place to
Quote.
go, ma'am. I do have places to go. Yes,
And I think you did say that.
I promise you, I have places to go, ma'am. I've been a lifelong resident of Chanute, Kansas, except for the brief period I was in Arkansas.
Well, I don't want you to come up with a list of places you're gonna go.
No, I could go stay. I have 2 places I can guarantee to go stay, ma'am.
How do you know you're guaranteed?
One's my grandparents on my mother's side.
Is that the one you've been staying with?
No, that's my grandparents on my stepfather's side. I can go to my grandparents on my mother's side where I was raised,
Okay.
ma'am.
Why can't you go back to the grandmother that you've been living with the last 6 months?
That's where I got that possession charge.
In the other county, they told you couldn't live there?
They didn't tell me I couldn't live there. My grandmother is still traumatized by the event, and I think it would just be better if I didn't go there. You know what I mean? I don't want put any more stress on her.
So the first incident traumatized her. You think this one would push her over the edge?
I don't think it pushed her over the edge, but I just don't want to put any more stress on her, ma'am.
Well, I can appreciate that. Well, is bond set at 30,000 cash or surety? Ms. Gillette, do you have anything you want to be heard on?
If
Do-
I could maybe get,
You said, Judge,
I'm sorry, say that again, please.
what number did you say that he's currently set up?
It's set at 30,000, but he's also on bond in another county. How much was that bond?
it was just 5,000, ma'am.
Oh, it was 5,000. So Neosho County has him on a $5,000 bond from October, and I don't know. I can't believe they're going to keep you on that bond when they find out you got these new charges. But in any event, 30,000, Ms. Gillette, and answer your question.
Judge, I want a cash surety bond. That way there's a bondsman in case he takes off on us.
If
He has more of a history of failure to appear than our other defendant that appeared here. And with that risk factor, plus he's been in the state of Arkansas for a period of time. So I would just ask that he definitely have a cash surety bond. With the failures to appear, I would ask for at least 25,000.
Ma'am, I haven't had it, like I actually said, I haven't had a failure to appear since 2014. I go to court even when I know I'm going to jail. If I could just maybe get it down to 15,000, something I could afford.
You can afford 15,000?
I mean, I could come up with 15,000 way better than I can 30,000, ma'am. I'm just asking for a little help. I know, I understand.
Do you have any charges or convictions down there in Arkansas?
No, ma'am.
How old are you, Mr. Ingles?
I'm 33.
33, 12-year-old child in Arkansas.
And I have a 5-year-old daughter here, ma'am, or a 6-year-old daughter here, ma'am. I just trying to change, but
Well, I'm going to appoint an attorney to represent you, and you can contact my assistant, Missy, next week. The jailer will give you Missy's number to find out who your lawyer is. I'm going to set your bond at 20,000. That's what I set your brother's. Now, your circumstances are different. He's got more charges, but yet you've got more failures to appear and you've got out-of-state connections. But I'm going to give you both a $20,000 bond. I'll tell you the same thing I told him. No contact with each other. No alcohol, no illegal drugs.
yes, ma'am.
And I want to know exactly where you're going to live. I don't want this, I can stay here, I can stay there.
Yes, ma'am.
What are the names of the two grandparents that you think you can stay with?
It'd just be one. My other grandfather died. It'd be Shirley Leroy.
Say that again.
Shirley Leroy.
Shirley Leroy, that's her name.
Yes, ma'am.
You know that name, Miss Gillette?
No, I don't know her.
It's probably a good thing. And she lives inside the city of Chanute.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's not the biggest town in the world. Are you sure you can stay away from your brother? And
Yes, ma'am.
you stay away from any other drug dealers, anybody
Yes, ma'am.
that's known, and I'm not saying you are a drug dealer, but stay away from any of that buddy that deals drugs, uses drugs. Don't use any drugs or alcohol yourself. Don't be in any possession because you're on a kind of a short rope with me, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
You're 33 years old. You get your life turned around. You get a gainful legal job. Start
Yes, ma'am.
saving up money to support these young children of yours and be a contributing member of society in a positive way.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. There's nothing further. We'll be in recess. All
Judge?
right. Yes,
I have a question.
sure.
When is his next court date?
Yeah, I need
You know what? I didn't give it to him. Thank you for asking. Missy,
January 5th at 1:30.
is that the same as the brothers?
Yes.
All right, that's going to be by Zoom, so they shouldn't have to run into each other. January 5th at 1:30
Thank you, Judge.
by Zoom. You're welcome. You're excused. Now, thank you, Deputy. Do you have any